A few weeks back I made a video about why I love Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power. Although I am quite happy with how said video turned out, I did say one thing in that video which I now completely disagree with. And the reason I came to this new conclusion was due to the fact I recently sat down and watched the entire Tournament of Power in one go, a good use of 14 hours I assure you, and through this watch through I realised a few things. Firstly, that the Tournament of Power did a really good job of introducing unique key attacks and techniques to make the series' power system a tad more fleshed out. Secondly, that I like Kale, Caulifla and Kefla way more than I used to. And third, that Jiren is not a good antagonist, on the contrary, he is a great one. Anyway, if at any time during the video you find yourself entertained, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing the bell, as you don't know how much such a small action could do for this channel. Anyway, on with the video. Jiren is often accused of being a bad antagonist due to him being bland, untalkative and having a stupid backstory, and I personally have come to disagree with all these sentiments, as Jiren is first and foremost a foil to Goku. Jiren had his family, his friends and his master killed in front of him. He couldn't protect those he cared about because he lacked strength. There were no Dragon Balls to bring back his friends, he was left all alone. He couldn't rely on his own strength to protect his friends, but due to that he was left with nothing but himself and his own strength. Jiren has suffered a lot, and the only way he can rationalise that to himself is that he wasn't strong enough, and that he had to get stronger. If he gets strong enough to beat everyone, then he will never have to blame his own lack of strength again. Goku, on the other hand, has also lost friends, family and his master, but unlike Jiren, he had the Dragon Balls, he could bring them back. No matter who Goku lost, he always had others by his side to help him bring those people back. Jiren didn't have anyone to rely on, but Goku had his friends to rely on. Jiren desired true strength so he could never lack strength again, but Goku wanted the opposite. He wanted to never achieve true strength, to never reach the ceiling. All he wanted in life was to fight stronger and stronger people. They are fundamentally different, as there is one major difference between them, and that is trust and companions. It's kind of a trope in Dragon Ball for everyone to take their turns fighting the big bad. I mean, Gohan, Vegeta, Krillin, Piccolo and Goku all had to at least scuffle with Frieza or Namek, and if even one of them wasn't present, then Goku may have lost in the end. Goku's strength comes from his companions. He gained Super Saiyan thanks to Krillin, his friend, whereas Jiren gained all his strengths on his own without the help of anyone else. The Super Saiyan God ritual, especially in the anime, is a great example of this difference. Goku took in the power of his companions to reach a strength he can never attain on his own. He relies on others to gain his power. Jiren though never had this. He reached an apex of power beyond a god of destruction, without forms, without help, just on his own. One of the biggest themes of the Tournament of Power is teamwork or a lack of teamwork. Universe 7 made a plan beforehand to work together. Their key to winning was to work together. Something no other universe does, as shown at the beginning of the tournament, where everyone but Universe 7 starts fighting immediately. Universe 11 also works together in some form, but Jiren never really shows any interest towards helping his companions, and as a result, by the end of the tournament, it's just Jiren on his own, where Universe 7 still has many of its fighters. And although you could say the same about Goku, he still works with his teammates when they need him to. Goku, throughout the latter half of Z, spends much of his time trying to find a successor. He wanted Gohan to beat Cell and become the next defender of Earth. He didn't kill Buu when he could have, so the Gotenks could get the job done. He wants to rely on others, he doesn't want to do it all himself. The complete opposite of Jiren, the man who didn't acknowledge his teammates as friends, and had no issues with being the last one standing and finishing the job with nothing but his own strength. Although power levels and forms often determine who wins fights in Dragon Ball, there is still often subtle thematic weight behind said fights. Goku couldn't even land a hit on Jiren before gaining UI, but then later fights alongside Vegeta in Kaioken Blue against Jiren somewhat equally. You could call this a power scaling mistake, or blame it on Zenkai's, but instead I tend to look at this moment as a great thematic event. Jiren's own ideal of using true strength and fighting on your own was being challenged. Goku and Vegeta alone couldn't touch him, but together they could, as when two people put their trust in one another, they can topple a lone giant. And this same thematic logic can be applied to many more fights in this arc. Kappa unlocked Super Saiyan 2 in order to necessitate saving Kale and Caulifla. He won because unlike his opponent, he was fighting for his friends. Vegeta beats Toppo because the latter had thrown away his sense of justice and given into a raw power in order to win. Vegeta had done the same, throwing away his pride for power in the form of Majin Vegeta, but Goku was still stronger because Goku was true to himself and his own power, his own pride, whereas Vegeta forsaked his pride and lost due to not being true to himself. As such, it was only reasonable for Toppo, a man who threw away his justice in the pursuit of power, to lose to someone who had made the same mistake themselves but had learnt from it. This is why Ultra Instinct is so thematically profound to me. The tournament was undoubtedly Goku's fault, and everyone agrees on that fact, but that only adds more thematic weight to the arc, as this arc represents Goku's choices. He was the cause of the tournament where the strongest in the cosmos gather. Goku's truest desire has always been to fight stronger and stronger people, and this tournament is his reward for all his choices he has made up until that point. Half Universe's 7 team is Goku's former enemies. He chose to spare these enemies to save them and to help them reform. If Goku hadn't made these choices, they wouldn't be on the team and Universe 7 would have lost. Goku's choices led up to the moment he squared off against Jiren, and they led to him gaining Ultra Instinct. The form was gained by absorbing the energy of the Spirit Bomb, a collective mass of the energies of his companions, of the friends he made along his journey and the enemies he turned into allies. As such, Ultra Instinct was granted by his companions by his trust in them. Ultra Instinct vs Jiren therefore is not Goku versus some strong guy, it is the power of trust and connection fighting against the ideal of true strength. As viewers, we thought 17 was dead and Frieza was out for the count, so in the moment it seemed like it was the entirety of Universe 7's team fighting through Goku against the single remaining member of Universe 11. It is only fitting then that the man who only relied on themselves would stand alone at the end, and that Goku would not. As shown by their fight, true strength loses out in the face of trust. Jiren resorted to trying to kill Goku's friends to show the weakness of trust, but instead showed the power of it. Goku protected his friends and they trusted him. Jiren tried to kill them to show Goku how weak his trust in them was, but instead Goku showed Jiren how strong their trust in him was. However, Goku couldn't finish the job. He was affected by the backlash of Ultra Instinct at the last moment and almost fell. In my opinion, this is the flip side to his trust, to his choices. Goku, like everyone, has made some wrong choices and has made some mistakes. He has misunderstood situations and done some plain stupid stuff. If Ultra Instinct is the culmination of all his choices up until that point, then of course there would be dark aspects to it, in this case the form of backlash. However, this only reinforces the strength of trust, as both Frieza and 17 were there to help. Frieza, Goku's greatest enemy, and 17, a guy Goku barely interacted with and had very little interaction with ever. The three of them beat Jiren, as Goku had the support, the strength of all those he ever trusted, be them his greatest enemy or some android he never seriously fought. His decision led him to the moment he toppled Jiren, the moment he showed the great alien the strength of trust and the error of relying solely on yourself. After the tournament, Jiren realised his flawed mentality. He was shocked that his teammates thanked him. He accepted that he had been selfish and only fought for himself. However, when Goku said he couldn't wait for the next fight, Jiren smiled. He realised the power of trust and opened his heart for the first time since his master and friends were killed. Jiren was Goku's greatest enemy, the person who was like him so much but so different at the same time. Goku's wish at the end of Z was for Kid Buu to be reincarnated as Oob, to be an even stronger foe for him to face, as Goku never wants to reach the ceiling, he always wants to fight stronger and stronger people, and that is why the wish for Kid Buu's reincarnation is the completion of Goku's character. By the end of Z he realised what he truly wants, nothing more than his own simple love for fighting. His story ends on Earth meeting his new rival, a person with the latent power of Buu and the key of the gods. It in a way is symbolic of one of Dragon Ball's greatest themes, nature versus nurture. Goku learned trust from being raised an Earthling and by combining his Earthling nurture with his Saiyan nature to gain strength beyond what was possible alone. Goku the Saiyan with the spirit of an Earthling would fight Oob, a human with the spirit of an alien. I truly believe Oob will surpass Jiren as Goku's greatest rival, but until that happens, Jiren will stand as the closest person to Goku in strength and ideals. A person who desires true strength. Not a true strength that overcomes everyone, but a true strength that will never stop growing. Jiren is, as such, Goku's ultimate foil, his greatest enemy. A man who walked a similar path to our protagonist, but due to events outside of his control adopted a strikingly different mindset. Jiren is often accused of just having Batman's backstory, but that couldn't be any further from the truth. Batman lost his parents and developed an unwavering sense of justice to make sure no one ever goes through what he did again. Jiren lost his family and developed a sense of anger at himself, and so trained to make sure he would never suffer like that again, so that his own strength would never fail him again. One of these is undoubtedly selfless and the other selfish. And only when Jiren was shown a better path by Goku did he finally let that anger at himself diminish. Only when he lost it he realised true strength wasn't the act of always winning. He had to lose again to put everything into perspective. He became so fixated on strength due to the death of his friends, but instead of realising he felt such anger due to his love and trust in his friends, he came to the conclusion that his own strength was to blame instead of the killer themselves. Goku is not a perfect person, but he knows what he wants in life even if it took him all of Z to work that out. Jiren is the same, he wasn't a perfect guy and still isn't, but by meeting Goku he managed to work out what he truly wanted. Goku chose not to kill anymore after fighting Piccolo, and Jiren chose to open his heart once more to friends and trust after losing to Goku. For this reason I love Jiren and think he's one of the best antagonists Dragon Ball has ever produced. So I hope if only slightly I've changed your view on Jiren the Great and helped you to understand why I now see him as such an incredible foil for Son Goku. Comment of the week comes from King Mamsie, and I'm glad to hear that Jotaro is your favourite JoJo as well. If you have any opinions on Jiren or Dragon Ball as a whole, then tell me in the comment section down below, and if you have a suggestion for a future video, then again the comment section is funny enough down below. Also don't forget to check out my Twitter at SethTheS for channel updates and just general chatter, and my DMs are always open if you want to chat to me directly. Or check out my Instagram at SethTheSin_cosplay to see my cosplays or random anime merchandise. So with all that said and done, I have been Seth the Sin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I am signing out. Stay safe everyone.